Now the microphone is back to me, so I'm not going to repeat back what has been said, but basically we all know that drought is inherent and the Horn of Africa is highly vulnerable. But we are not also the only unique in terms of the globe and even in Asia or in other areas. I think the most important is internal vulnerability. Those areas of the pastoral area, particularly in Ethiopia and the whole part, the neighboring area, used to be the most abundant and sustainable means of livelihood. It used to be that way probably 40 or 50 years ago. But now it's no more sustainable. I think the key issue is how can we really provide a sustainable way of livelihood and at the same time based on the natural resource available and endowed in those areas. What we have found and through intensive studies and investigation is there is abundant water resources available in those areas, both surface and underground water. So why are the people thirsty and why are animals are dying just while we can provide them through concerted and very consistent investment in those areas. The other issue is the capability of the society, the human capital, infrastructure is very, very weak in those areas. So without those investment, trade cannot be enhanced. There has been a question on trade, on even between countries and others, but infrastructure is not there. Education, particularly in the pastoral livelihood, has not been there. Therefore, basically it needs a concerted and comprehensive approach. Otherwise, really addressing the vulnerability through also, and building resilience, basically it has to come from internal building the capacity. And I think the concern from the panel and the issues raised and also from the concern and issues that you are raising is basically I think it revolves around this area. And it's not because of we lack early warning research. We know it. But what could have been done much better than this? It's the only thing we could have done is just humanitarian assistance. Even for humanitarian assistance, in some part of the area, it was not possible. Not necessarily for human based, insecurity and others, but even infrastructure has not been there. People have to walk hundreds of kilometers in order to reach, and as a result, you can imagine what will happen. And therefore, basically, it really needs a concerted and comprehensive approach. There is knowledge, but at the same time, we also lack knowledge. Knowledge of the livelihoods, knowledge of the systems available. Because we cannot avoid and abolish the whole of pastoral society and pastoral livelihoods, but it needs to be commercialized. It needs to be translated and transformed into commercial and sustainable way of livelihood in terms of modern ranching and other types of livelihood. And therefore, that way, then basically we can really transform and build resilience. The other issue is capacity. Capacity is definitely an issue. Capacity to understand and explain, and at the same time to really develop very good sound programs, sound concerted investment interventions, and at the same time to implement those projects. What we are having here in Ethiopia is the government have allocated an equivalent of $100 million every year, particularly for two pastoral regions, for Ethiopian Somali and Afar region. But the challenge is how to implement those projects, particularly for water development, for livelihood, for livestock, for human, and also for agriculture, wherever it applies. But implementation capacity, and at the same time running those investment infrastructure is a very big challenge. And therefore, this actually calls upon a generation of local indigenous knowledge and people so that we can really transform these areas. I think this applies for all, and university education does not by itself address all issues. It has to come from the undergraduate, from elementary. I think the question is very good, but it doesn't matter. We know that it's lower than the national average. I think that's obvious. In those pastoral areas, the enrollment of primary education or even secondary education is very low. And therefore, this has to actually continue. Therefore, where can the resource come? We all know that there is enough resource available if they are well coordinated and if they are systematically and for long-term basis and the sustainable basis are available. Therefore, this really need a policy commitment, institutional commitment. I think we are making a very good progress in terms of IGAD coordination. IGAD coordination comes from the commitment of governments. IGAD by its own cannot achieve this. It is the government who committed themselves, but through IGAD framework, basically there is a better move, coordination from all development partners, and we need to really continue this. And as a result, I think it's possible. There is a sense of urgency. Anytime we can be surprised. I mean, drought can come, and we are expecting El Nino. We don't know what will happen, but definitely, as we are really building our capacity, as a coordination and knowledge generation and monitoring, of course, we do not rely on all in numbers, but we rely on the livelihoods themselves, on the transformation of the people. Basically, those really we can witness that, we can really achieve it. And I think on this, the end result is how can we transform to a sustainable mode of livelihood. I think it's just an issue of transformation. I think the panel, on behalf of all the organizers, I would like to really appreciate the panelists for taking their time and also for really presenting a very good overview of the agenda. And at the same time, from the competence, from the area of, from different perspectives, from the development partners, from implementation agencies, from regional intergovernment, and from global UN, I think this is a very wonderful. And the panel, I would also like to thank your contribution, your interest and support. I think together we can achieve it, and thank you very much.